They left me to die in a flooded warehouse while Hurricane Sandy roared outside. Rain poured through cracked windows. Water rose to my chest. My ribs screamed. My skull throbbed. Blood mixed with seawater, swirling in the dark like ink. I was just an intern, Nate Corwin, 23 years old, with student loans and a lunchbox full of hope. And they beat me like I was nothing. Then they stole my name, my future, my life. Framed me for stealing millions I never touched. Told the world I drowned, a coward who vanished with the firm's money. But I didn't drown. I survived. And for 10 long years, I planned. Now, I'm back. Not as Nate, as Silas Thorne, billionaire, phantom, predator. And I've bought their company, one partner at a time. But what I'm about to do, it's not just business. It's revenge. And by the time they realize who I really am, it'll be far too late. 10 years ago, I was the invisible kid at Sterling & Locke, the most powerful investment firm in Manhattan. I fetched coffee, filed reports, smiled when they mocked my thrift store shoes. But I was sharp enough to notice something strange in the quarterly ledgers. Numbers that didn't add up. Shell companies with names like Ocean Breeze Holdings and Maple Ridge Trust. Money flowing out, never coming back. Millions vanishing into offshore accounts. I dug deeper, stayed late, ran hidden queries, cross-referenced client IDs. And that's when I saw it. The truth. All 3 senior partners, Richard Vane, Lydia Cho, and Marcus Bellwether, were laundering money for a cartel. Not just dirty cash, but weapons money, human trafficking profits, blood diamonds disguised as private equity gains. I printed the evidence, sealed it in an envelope, addressed it to the FBI. I was going to blow it all open. But someone saw me. That night, as I walked to the subway, 2 men in dark suits grabbed me. No badges, no warnings, just fists. They dragged me to a warehouse on the Brooklyn waterfront, abandoned since the 90s. Richard Vane stood there, holding my printed report. "You had potential, Nate," he said, voice calm like ice. "But loyalty matters more than truth." And he nodded, and they hit me, again and again, until the world went black. When I woke, the storm was screaming. Water lapped at my neck. The door was chained shut. Hurricane Sandy was swallowing the city, and me with it. I screamed for help. No one came. I clawed at floating debris, found a broken pallet, clung to it like a prayer. For hours I drifted through flooded streets, past submerged cars and shattered storefronts. Hypothermia set in. My fingers turned blue, my mind fogged. But I didn't die. A fisherman found me half dead near Rockaway Beach, took me to a clinic that didn't ask questions. No ID, no name, just a ghost with broken bones and burning rage. That ghost needed a new face. I vanished into the world they'd built, the shadow economy of shell companies, encrypted banks, and silent billionaires. I learned everything. How to move money without leaving a trail, how to buy silence, how to turn greed into a weapon. I worked under false names in Zurich, Singapore, Dubai. Built a reputation as a fixer for the ultra-rich. Saved a failing tech giant in Seoul with a single phone call. Destroyed a corrupt oil tycoon in Kazakhstan by shorting his fleet 3 days before his pipeline exploded. People started whispering about Silas Thorne, a man who could make fortunes rise or collapse with a signature.
No one knew it was me. Not even my own mother, who still left flowers at the memorial they'd erected for Nate Corwin, presumed lost in Sandy. But I watched, from the shadows, as Richard Vane gave interviews about ethical finance, as Lydia Cho won Woman of the Year for her charity work, as Marcus Bellwether bought a penthouse overlooking Central Park with money that came from child labor mines in Congo. They were living like kings on the backs of the dead. And I was building my empire. My first move was subtle. I bought a small hedge fund that owned 4% of Sterling and Locke's parent company. No one blinked, just another foreign investor. Then I started pulling strings. I leaked rumors that Sterling and Locke was under federal review. Their stock dipped. Richard panicked, sold half his shares cheap. I bought them through 3 dummy corporations. Now, I own 12%. Lydia noticed, called an emergency board meeting. "Who is this Silas Thorne?" she demanded. No one knew. Perfect. I waited. Then I struck again. I hired a brilliant young analyst, just like I once was, and planted her inside Sterling and Locke. Her job? Whisper doubts, question numbers, ask uncomfortable questions in meetings.
Within months, cracks appeared. Lydia accused Marcus of hiding losses. Marcus blamed Richard for reckless risk-taking. The partners turned on each other like cornered wolves. I just watched and bought more shares. By year 7, I owned 38%. They were still rich, still powerful, but their foundation was rotting from within. Then came the final trap. I created a golden opportunity, a fake startup called Viridian Dynamics, claiming to have AI that could predict market crashes with 98% accuracy. I made it irresistible. Private demos, secret algorithms, exclusive access. Richard bit first. He poured $20 million of firm capital into it, without telling the others. Lydia found out. She went nuclear. But here's the twist. Viridian didn't exist. The money went straight into an account I controlled, and I had Richard's signature on every transfer. I leaked everything to the press, but only the parts that made Richard look like a thief. Headlines exploded. Sterling partner embezzles millions in fake tech scam. Vane secret slush fund exposed. Richard was arrested at JFK, trying to flee to Brazil. His wife left him. His kids changed their names. He's now sharing a cell with one of the cartel bosses he once laundered for. Poetic? You have no idea. With Richard gone, Lydia and Marcus scrambled. Their firm's value plummeted. Clients fled. Regulators swarmed. That's when I made my offer. Through a shell company, I proposed a buyout. Let Silas Thorne take over. Save what's left. Desperate, they agreed. The day the deal closed, I walked into Sterling and Locke's headquarters for the first time in 10 years. Same marble floors, same cold air, same paintings of dead white men. I rode the elevator to the top floor, the partners' suite. Lydia and Marcus waited in the conference room, nervous but hopeful. Maybe the new owner would restore their glory. The doors opened. I stepped in, wearing a charcoal suit, sunglasses, a silver ring on my right hand, the one Nate Corwin never could afford. I removed my glasses slowly. Lydia gasped. Marcus dropped his coffee. "Nate, but you're dead," Lydia whispered, voice cracking. I smiled. Not a kind smile, a predator's smile. Nate Corwin drowned in Hurricane Sandy. But Silas Thorne, he rose from that water with one mission. I walked to the head of the table, the chair Richard used to sit in. Sat down, crossed my legs. I stole your name, my dignity, my future. You left me to die like trash. I leaned forward. Now I own your company, your reputations, your debts, and your fear. Marcus stood up, shaking. You can't do this. We'll sue. We'll what? I interrupted. Call the police? The FBI? Go ahead. Tell them how you laundered $400 million for a drug cartel. Tell them about the Congo mines, the fake charities, the offshore accounts in your kids' names.
Silence. Lydia's eyes filled with tears. Please, we were just following orders. The cartel threatened our families. I had no family to threaten, I snapped. Just a lunchbox and a dream, and you crushed it. I stood, walked to the window, looked down at the city that forgot me. Here's what happens now, I said. You resign, today, publicly. Take full blame for the firm's collapse. No severance, no golden parachutes. And if I ever hear you've spoken my real name or tried to rebuild your lives, I'll leak everything. I turned, met their eyes. You'll live out your days in quiet shame, poor, forgotten, just like you left me. They didn't argue. They signed the resignation letters right there. As they shuffled out, broken, hollow shells, I called my assistant. I need Omega Phase, I said. Because the final blow wasn't just financial. The next morning, every major news outlet received an anonymous package. Inside, the full, unredacted ledger of Sterling and Locke's crimes, signed, dated, and verified, along with photos of me as Nate Corwin and a statement. This is what happens when you bury the truth. It always comes back to drown you. The story went viral. Sterling and Locke collapsed overnight. Lydia moved to a trailer in Ohio. Marcus tried to jump off the George Washington Bridge. Cops pulled him back. And me? I liquidated the firm's assets, donated every penny to victims of human trafficking. Wiped Sterling and Locke from the earth like it never existed. But revenge? It's never really satisfying. Because the man who beat me, the man who laughed as the warehouse door locked, his name wasn't Richard, Lydia, or Marcus. It was Victor Crane, the cartel's fixer, the one who gave the order to kill me. And for 10 years, I couldn't find him. Until last week. A whisper from a contact in Caracas. Crane's in Miami, running a private security firm, thinks he's untouchable. So I booked a flight, not as Silas Thorne, not as Nate Corwin, but as nobody. Because this time, I won't just destroy his life. I'll make him wish Hurricane Sandy had finished the job. But that's a story for next time. Because if you think my revenge is over, you haven't seen anything yet.